It has been a year since I installed air suspension, so is it as reliable as coilovers? I have my tablet here for notes, but before I jump into this video, I would like to thank everyone for allowing me to live my dreams, because this sort of thing would have never happened if you were not watching my content. Now, I bought my Mustang in 2022 and I got a lot of hate for choosing an EcoBoost and also not waiting until 2023 for the S650. I think the EcoBoost is very slept on, and there is so much power that you can put down on these, but for me, I like to keep it stock. So my biggest problem with cars is I want to literally drive everything, and I've been through at least 12 cars since I was 16 and I'm 29 now, so it's been just a crazy journey. However, this isn't the first of putting a car on the ground. I had a 4G Eclipse as well as a Buick Regal, but I would like to explain how I got here with the Mustang. In 2024, I was looking into getting a C7 or an Aston Martin. Both have a similar pricing in the market right now. The Aston Martin would have been older. However, I noticed a common trend is that TikTok influencers are buying C7s because of how affordable they are. And there's not a major dealership backing Aston Martin around, so it would be really hard to get like major repairs done if they were needed. So I thought, why not live my lowrider dream within my Mustang? I've always been a big fan of lowriders and the lowrider culture, and I thought, why not just slap some air suspension on this thing? And a lot of that has to do with how reliable it's been. The engine has never given me any problems whatsoever. I did have some repairs done that were warranty work a few years back, but a lot of that warranty work did repair a lot of those issues, so I am glad that that is done and over with. What mods have I done that you can obviously see? I installed the bags myself with the help of a friend, all in my backyard, and this took me about a day. It was very annoying and time consuming, but I'm glad the way it turned out. But before I purchased the bags, I did take some notes from a buddy up north. He has been on air for a lot longer than I have been, and his Audi is just amazingly good, and I actually love the car. But moving on to the biggest pain in the rear, which was literally the rear. For anybody who has installed air ride on these cars, it is so annoying because the bolt is not long enough to put the bag in place, so you have to fiddle with things for hours on end. That wasn't as annoying as whenever a line busted on the front driver's side while I was driving low. That's partially my fault because I didn't have the lines configured correctly. I didn't have them mounted correctly. But again, that is my fault. That is nothing that the suspension itself caused. Now, another big thing that you should do whenever you have air suspension is drain the tank at least once a week, or you can do it every 2 weeks. But I would not let condensation build up in the tank because it will ruin every bit of your air suspension. Doing that type of maintenance has made this car very reliable, and I can get over potholes in Texas very well without any issues whatsoever that typical coilovers would have. Bags, especially in this town, have made it really reliable. Another thing that I did that I changed over time was the ride height in the front and in the back. In September, I changed the ride height to 1/4 of an inch lower, and in the rear, I maxed it out to make it sit better. Recently, with the wheels that I just got in, I lowered the front another 2/4 of an inch. And this is just from the factory height that like Airlift Performance gives you whenever it comes out of the box. Oh, another thing that I did in September, which goes alongside adjusting the ride height, was changing the wheel size. I really love the stocks. I love the way that they looked, but I was not satisfied with how thick they were, so I changed it from 235/50/18 to 235/45/18, which isn't much of a difference, but it was a max that I could do without going to 19s and 20s. And at first I loved the idea, but over time I was thinking that the wheels were not wide enough, so I was going to have to get new wheels regardless. The wheels of my choice are ESR SR04s, pretty hard to say. I really love 5-spoke rims. The star rims that come with the S650, those look amazing, and those are like one of my favorite wheels of all time. And I thought about throwing those on here here, but I decided to go with something different. And I know ESRs are reps or wannabe rims, but I usually daily the cars that I lower. So I figured, you know, why spend the extra amount of money on something like wheels if I'm going to daily this thing? Like, what happens if one of these wheels cracks or it gets damaged and I have to spend another like $2,000 on one wheel? But I'm not bashing on wheel selection because the more expensive wheels do come in handy whenever you're like tracking a vehicle. So after 3 months of looking, I found these Aodhan AH03s, and that's just because I had not seen these like stanced out on an S550. I did, however, see a lot of Mustangs stanced out on ESRs, and I didn't want to do the exact same thing. The size on these is 19 by 9.5 with a 22 offset. And I was a little worried about the 22 offset, and it does pretty much tuck into the fender right here. Now in the rear, it's a different story. You can go a lot wider in the rear. The tires I chose were 245, 35, 19. This kind of gives it a baby or hair stretch, but not by much. And the reason why I chose this setup is because I was going for the tucked look and not fender to lip. I didn't really like fender to lip. I've always loved tucking wheel, especially with air suspension. But I know I will have some people in the comments saying that I need spacers or I need wider wheels. Go ahead and judge me. So I'm going to continue to read off my tablet here, but one thing that I need to disclose to people is on Fitment Industries, which is where I got these wheels. A lot of cars showcased on there don't tell you about camber adjustments or how much ride height was done, or for some reason it always wanted me to select 19 by 11 because everybody's running 19 by 11 in the rear. It wanted me to select 19 by 11 all the way around, and I knew that 19 by 11 would not work in the front, but it will work with different control arms and crazy camber adjustments. I've seen it, I know it will. And the reason why I wanted to disclose this is because whenever you're a customer, you want to get the right setup, and you definitely don't want to do something too wide where you can't tuck the wheel or you can't do fender to lip. That is my only gripe about Fitment Industries and just trying to choose the right offset or trying to choose the right wheel. So the last question, what comes next? I don't want to do anything crazy with the motor. I would like to keep it stock because it has been reliable. To me, I'm a low and slow type of guy, and that's just the main reason why I would like to keep it that way. I might get spacers for the rear, I might not. There's definitely a fitment issue in the rear, so I will definitely look into that, but we'll see. I prefer the, you know, the tuck to look versus fender to lip. This pretty much sums up what I wanted out of this car and what I wanted to do. This was a really big step and a really big dream to achieve, and I'm hoping that this car remains just beautiful for a long period of time. I do plan on keeping this car. This is the first vehicle that I have not like swapped out. I've kept it for almost 4 years now. Whenever people see this thing now, they love it. With that being said, this will be my final video on my bagged Mustang. I'm going to continue making interesting content about nostalgia, and I'm going to continue to pursue like 3D visual effects and CGI. I hope that you will follow this journey with me.